Hello all my Kinvians and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Once Upon a Time. Yet again, another bit of a gap in between recording sessions. I hope that won't be the case between this one and the next one, but that doesn't matter because we've still got this episode to get through, and it is Heart of Darkness. And I assume this is going to have something, to some degree, to do with Rumplestiltskin, because after all, he is the Dark One. And yeah, but who knows, like, since it has to do with hearts and a heart was just found, maybe it will also concentrate on Regina and her bizarre affinity for collecting hearts. Frickin' psycho. But alright, so, I mean, without any further ado, I really don't have much else to say. Let's get right into Heart of Darkness and see what is in store for little old me. Whoa! Still being stalked, okay.
We need to move. They found us.
You think?
It says I cut out Kathryn's heart and buried it in the woods. This is insane.
It's always the quiet ones.
With all this evidence.
Okay, so this is closer to actual Snow White from Disney, and this is creepy as hell. Wow!
Allergic.
You are allergic to everything.
You broke my mug.
You're lucky.
I'm your friends.
Is she gonna try to squish him?
You're right.
She's gonna take it out on
I
him.
should be taking it out on her.
Oh.
Seen this before? Yes, it's in my jewelry box.
Oh!
That's what we found the heart in. Did you
That...
see what's happening here? Someone stole.
Dang.
Oh.
Oh! Jesus! Oh boy.
Put your hands where I can see them. All due respect, Regina. I don't think you know much about
If she didn't do it, then who did?
You.
That's what I've been trying to figure out. All magic can be broken.
Oh yes, with two wow.
Love's kiss will awaken her.
Womp womp.
Now?
Quite literally found the key to her innocence. Oh no. Oh no.
You can't kill her.
Really?
Oh no. Oh!
What do you think you're doing?
Okay, that makes
Why would you do that?
stupid sense.
Because you said. Does it look like I'm making this up?
No one's ever done anything like this for me before.
That you remember.
No one's ever been willing to die for me.
No one you can remember.
Remember me wanting to kill Kathryn.
Can you explain why I have that memory?
Fairy tales?
David?
But luckily, you won't have to.
Also, someone calling the werewolf.
Show that king and Snow White and seven dwarfs can really do.
And a werewolf. Someone find Red. I mean, seriously, just unleash the werewolf.
Results came back on the heart. And the DNA was a match for Kathryn.
What?
She's dead.
What? What?
I'm sorry. Of course.
unknowing mother-daughter moment of trauma and suspected homicide. He bottled true love. Well, that's terrifying. Mary Margaret on the run. Holy crap. Okay. Now, you see, even before I begin talking about the review portion of this, I have a dilemma because I'm not sure I can just leave it there. I'm not sure I can just leave it there without watching the next episode. The problem is I have work early in the morning. I have to get up very early. Okay. Tomorrow, like I think I've said this the last several times I've recorded, but tomorrow I have to watch this next episode because I gotta know what happens next, because I just can't leave it there. So, The Heart of Darkness. Now, completely unrelated to the actual episode, the first thing that comes to mind for me when I saw The Heart of Darkness, one, a very, very hard video game on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, called Heart of Darkness. Dear God, look up Heart of Darkness Game Grumps highlights sometime. Just, you'll be in for a time of rage and hilarity at someone else raging at that game. Number two thing that I think of with Heart of Darkness, do you ever see the Care Bears movies? More specifically, the second one? Because Heart of Darkness makes me think of Dark Heart. I actually don't know if Meleena knows what that is. Just look up Care Bears movie, Dark Heart, and I'm sure you'll find some interesting clips. Anyway, I'll shut up about that right now because it is completely unrelated. The episode itself, dear God, just based on what's happening right now, I have a feeling there's not really going to be any more slump episodes like what we had with Dreamy / Grumpy and Nova? Yeah, Nova. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be happening anymore. Like, I'm not going to say every episode's going to be amazing, but we are in core storyline, like, racing to the finale. I don't know how many episodes are in the first season. I don't really recall. So the next episode is going to be the 17th, and there are 22 episodes. Okay. So basically have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 6 episodes left in this season. And yeah, I have a serious feeling that all of them are going to just be escalating from here on out. Call it a theory. But as for the actual episode, because again, I got distracted. To start off with, the sadly only moment where Red appears, but at the very beginning, first of all, you have to love Charming's powers of observation, because after a flaming arrow is shot at them, among other arrows, because you can hear them flying through the air, they found us. You think? You think. It's... But anyway, that momentary dorkiness aside, Red unleashing the beast quite literally. Holy crap. That was awesome. I do wish that we had gotten to see a little bit of the transformation instead of the cut. But, I mean, I understand why they didn't do that, because, you know, that would have been probably huge on the CGI budget. But, ooh, yeah, that was awesome. Even just seeing, like, her eyes glowing as she's approaching the camera and approaching the knights. That was awesome. And the way I wrote it down was simply, you ever see the memes where it's like, he sit, he eat, he protect, or, you know, stuff like that. But basically, red protect. And I didn't even spell it right in accordance with the memes either, but I don't care! Red protect by turning into a bloodthirsty werewolf. Alright, and then the next part, which I'm not counting this as an annoyance, but it's just a very interesting aspect of the episode as a whole. Morally a negative, but anyway, Snow's just gone crazy. Like, after losing her memory of the prince and like that big dark hole in her heart being left, holy crap. So I thought that, like, at the beginning there where she was like whistling or singing to the bird, very interesting looking CGI bird, I was thinking, okay, so she's turned into kind of just the Disney version of herself, like just the flat out Disney cartoon version, singing to the birds, and then she tries to kill the bird. And I mean, that's really, if it had just been left at that, that would be enough. But dear God, like, Snow, unhinged Snow, without her memory of the prince, is friggin' scary. And not gonna lie, extremely intimidating. Like, it seemed, to a degree, she never seemed scary to me, but she was intimidating in a very manic way. Like, yeah, she was being a jerk, and I mean, obviously, if someone is holding a diamond-cutting pickaxe to your leg, you will be scared. But in general, just like her facial expressions and just her insane drive to kill the queen, it just had this manic lunacy to me. Just like, I think that's really the best way I can put it. Because, and I don't mean this insulting at all to Jennifer, is it Jennifer Goodwin is her name? I know the first name is Jennifer. But, yeah, she doesn't really have a scary vibe to her. Or at least, like, you know, she doesn't have one of those presences that, like, when she's staring you down, that you feel scared and intimidated. But, again, when you look at it from the perspective of this wild lunacy, like, just, like, crazed, like, even more so than a werewolf, I guess, at this point. But it's like, you know, the only thing on her mind is killing the queen, and she is just crazy motivated to do that. Yeah, that in and of itself is intimidating. I don't know if anything I just said makes sense, but it all boils down to, Snow's crazy in this episode. Scary crazy. Which does admittedly, once, you know, once James gives... once he shows her what he's willing to do and the true love's kiss happens, it's like, it's great to see that she is back to her normal self. But, and I know this is jumping around some, I apologize, Meleena, but in regard to that scene where James gets hit by the arrow, something doesn't feel right. Like, something just feels off. Because I thought that when Rumplestiltskin gave her that bow, or he, like, enhanced her bow, whatever it was he did, that it's, like, it'll aim true and it will kill whoever it is she's aiming for. It will kill her target. But I mean, obviously the queen was her target, but it hit James. So, by logic, I mean, he was in pain, but he didn't die. Hey, don't get me wrong, I'm happy that he didn't die, but it's just... Maybe I'm misremembering what Rumpelstiltskin said. Because in my mind, that's just a weird plot hole that, you know, the arrow that is shot by that bow will kill its target. Again, in my mind, that means that whoever that arrow hits should die. But maybe there's that stipulation that since he wasn't the actual target, I don't know. Please, actually, honest to God, help me with this one. Any of you that, you know, are better with the insight on this show and you know the ins and outs of the lore of this show in general, can you help me kind of understand what's going on there? Because it just doesn't make sense for me. So yeah, it's, from my perspective, an annoyance that there's that inconsistency of what the bow and arrow should have done to the person it hit. But that's just because possibly I'm just confused, which wouldn't be the first time. But okay, moving on from there. The evidence that gets brought up against Mary. Against Mary Margaret. Mary Margaret Blanchard. So I was wondering what in the heck the box was, and I believe it was Flicks, one of my friends, and I'm sure you all have seen their comments on previous videos. But they pointed out that maybe it's one of the boxes that Regina keeps the hearts in. And I'm just now realizing that, you know, obviously Flicks has already seen all the episodes, so that was a misdirect. How dare you? How dare you play with my emotions like that? Touché. Actually, no, that can't really be touché. Back to how dare you? Anyway, but yeah, it ended up being Mary's jewelry box, which, I don't know, I'm sure they probably did show it at some point in the past, and it just wasn't something that I thought to pay attention to. So, I don't know, maybe on rewatch or something like that, I'll go back and I'll see that it was her jewelry box. But there's that. Then the knife being found. And one thing that they didn't point out is, you know, were there any fingerprints on the knife? Now, obviously, it's like they found fingerprints on the jewelry box, and the argument could be made that, oh, there were no fingerprints found on the blade. Probably because she wore gloves or wiped off the fingerprints, which, you know, that's fine. But it just seems interesting to me that they didn't point that out. And then, unfortunately, David, who increasingly proves his non-charmingness, it's not even a word, proves how much he's not charming, Prince Charming, confronts Mary Margaret, and the memories from the enchanted forest that he saw, he obviously thinks that they're actual memories from when he blacked out and was wandering the forest, which does not bode well for Mary at all. But yeah, I don't see things working out with Mary and David in any way until the curse is broken. Because, yeah, I don't see him bouncing back from that without some magical basically some magical help of the curse being broken. 'Cause yeah, David, you you done messed up, son. So, You know, all the evidence stacked up against her. I do wish, one thing that I do wish we had gotten to see, and it comes after, it's like, you know, Grumpy takes Snow to see Rumpelstiltskin, and it leads to the whole bow and arrow thing. But Rumpelstiltskin / Mr. Gold coming in to be Mary's lawyer. I wish we had gotten to see some of their actual discussion. I mean, maybe it'll be shown after they find out that Mary's disappeared and Emma is talking with Mr. Gold. Maybe it'll be sort of a little flashback showing what they discussed. I don't know. But I do wish that we had seen at least some of the conversation. In the end, maybe the writers just determined that it wasn't a scene worth keeping, or they just decided to skim over it altogether. But I mean, come on, it's Mr. Gold dealing with Snow White / Mary Margaret Blanchard. I like saying the full name for some reason. I don't know, it just seems like even though she has no memories of the Enchanted Forest, he obviously does now, so why can't we get a little something, just a little bit of the conversation there? It would have been kind of cool. Or at least from my perspective, it would have been. But one of the major lines in this episode, what comes from, well, the same person, Rumpelstiltskin / Rumpy Pumpy / Mr. Gold / Goldie Woldy. I'm keeping it. I do this just to annoy Meleena and some of the others. I apologize for nothing. And I'm invested in your future. So, obviously, Mr. Gold, in the present time, in the world without magic, or the land without magic, invested in her future because it's like, I'm sure that she plays into some grand scheme of his for when the curse is broken. So he doesn't want anything happening to her, and he is invested in her future. He's really invested in everyone's future, primarily Emma's, but, you know, obviously Mary Margaret falls in there because, one, she's Emma's mom, and two, she's Emma's roommate, and three, she's Snow White. Getting off track. But yeah, it's like, I'm invested in your future. Which definitely brings us to the end part, but I'm going to hold onto that until last. And then we have the moment with Arthur and Henry, where Henry points out, Arthur points out that he does know some things about that book. And the kid who plays Henry does a really good job. Again, I feel like he looks like he's grown up some in the span of these episodes. I don't know how long of a gap there is in between filming each episode, but for some reason it seemed like he is a bit older in this one. Maybe it's just the way they had him dressed or makeup or something. I don't know. But it just, that connection there with Arthur and Henry, and Arthur talking about how it's like, you know, people like us, we work on faith alone, but Emma requires proof. And where do you find that proof? In the book. So yeah, I really liked that scene. I hope we get more of Arthur in general, but also I want to see more of Arthur and Henry interacting, because I feel like with someone who, at least I assume, wrote the book, maybe he didn't, but someone who at the very least knows so much about that book, as well as Henry, who, I mean, he obviously knows a lot about the book, or it's at least his book. I want to see more interaction there. I think it could lead to a lot of really interesting things and a lot of fun. But moving on from there, another quote that really jumped out to me, and it's said by both, Regina in The Land Without Magic, and then Rumpelstiltskin when being confronted by Prince Charming. And each one's kind of a paraphrase of the other. But evil isn't born, it's made. And what better people for that line to come from? Yeah. I mean, we've obviously seen what made Rumplestiltskin the way he is. I really want to see more about, and who knows, maybe in this next episode I'll finally learn what it is, or at least in episodes to come. But what did Snow do that got Regina actually she wasn't the queen at that point, that got Regina to be so evil, to have her heart of darkness? I don't know why I did that. But yeah. And, well, I mean, I could obviously point out the part about where Henry finds the keys, but that's obvious. It's part of what ends up leading to Emma believing that Mary Margaret is innocent, and that, in fact, Regina is trying to frame her. For what reason, they don't know. We obviously do. And Henry knows. And Regina knows. Clearly. But the next part I want to talk about is the scene with David and Archie, where David, obviously he wants to see if there's a way that he can get some of his memories straightened out, to where he can recover some of those memories. And obviously that unfortunately does lead to him seeing those memories from the Enchanted Forest and mistaking them for what might have happened when he blacked out. Which, as I said earlier, does not bode well for Mary Margaret and her actual innocence being screwed up by David, not purposely, but David screwing up. Yeah, David just can't win. And at this point, I'm not even sure if I want him to win. Like, whenever the curse is broken, I obviously want him and Snow to be back together. But I don't know if I actually like David. Or at least, the Land Without Magic David. I mean, yeah, he's just kind of he's a typical guy. But still, it's like there's plenty of typical guys who, like, especially if you're put under hypnosis, like, yeah, I mean, obviously people have done hypnosis and things like that, but it's not like it's a guaranteed science. It's not like it's something that can actually work. It could be something that you were dreaming. It could be, it's like, you're under hypnosis and you're going to say whatever comes to your mind. It could be something you're making up entirely, which is, again, why, like, memories brought up in hypnotism aren't really going to be permissible in court. Which, anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that, but yeah, I'm not sure I like David right now, or at least anymore at this stage. Moving on. Already mentioned the true love's kiss. I do like how, well, unfortunately, when James is taken away by the guards, and then Snow is just flat out decked by one of those guys, and good lord, dude, chill. I get you've been running after this guy for a long time, but do you gotta just punch a girl straight in the face? What the hell, man? And not only that, I can't help but wonder, it's like, did they realize that it's Snow White? Because they just refer to her as the girl. I don't know. Maybe they don't realize who she is. I don't know. That's actually a good question that probably won't ever be answered, but regardless. When she says, "I will always find you." And that was just a beautiful little parallel to what James had been saying, is like, he will always find her. Because that is, the true love binds them. And obviously she does, because they end up together before the curse. Clearly. But, and one of the notes I wrote down here And I do apologize if sometimes that I cuss while I'm doing the reaction videos. I try to keep these mostly clean because, again, even though, they have some bad language in the show at times, it's fairy tale related stuff and all that. It's like, I don't want to cuss too much at the very least. But one of the notes I wrote down here, and this is when David went to see Mary Margaret, is just, David, damn it. So, yeah, simple as that. But then as we draw to the end of the episode, first of all, Snow apologizes to the dwarves, which is an adorable little scene. And again, I can't help but bring up, like I mentioned in the reaction portion, where is Red? Like, yeah, she, kept the guards away so James could get away. I can only assume that none of those guys were expecting a werewolf, and therefore none of them probably had silver on their weapons. So, yeah, they're dead, and she got away, but I don't know, part of me can't help but wonder, is like, will they meet Red along the way to go and save James? And will she join up the troop? Because it's like, yeah, 7 dwarves with diamond cutting pickaxes, which, oh my god, that sounds like an insanely powerful weapon. And Snow with her ninja hunter skills. It's like, they can undoubtedly, if in stealth mode, actually they might actually need stealthy for once. Too bad he's dead. And I still think it's a stupid name. Sorry. But yeah, they might stand a chance of pulling off a siege there and breaking James out. But if they had a werewolf on their side, and again, maybe they will, I don't know yet, but it'd be no contest. It'd be no contest at all. They'd probably have to hold it off until, a last second kind of deal, because you don't want any, and actually, we don't know how much control Red has over herself. Like, she's the one who decided to transform into the werewolf, but does she have control of herself after that? So yeah, if she would join up with them in going to save James, excuse me, like I said, they would probably need to hold her off until as a last second, last ditch kind of effort, in case she doesn't have full control of herself, because don't want innocents dying, and also don't want the dwarves and Snow and James to die, which obviously doesn't happen, but still. I'm trying to find some way that Red can be there. But, yes. The mysterious skeleton key. Now, we don't know where the key came from. It doesn't look like one of the keys... Oh, wait It doesn't look like one of the keys that was on Regina's keyring that Henry found. But have we seen that key before? I'm trying to remember. I know that Regina has keys that she's used on various locks. But I think they've all been sort of that gold or bronze tinted key, like the ones on the keychain. I don't think we've ever seen the skeleton key before. I could be wrong, and if I am, please do point out where it appeared before. But I think it's one of two ways. Either one, Mr. Gold somehow managed to get that key into her blanket. It obviously fell out as it unraveled. Or it's another part of Regina's plot somehow. Like, she wants Mary Margaret to run away. I don't know, so maybe she can have something done to her while she's escaping, and like, now that she's broken out, maybe raise that much more suspicion against her. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know where the key came from, but it obviously did lead to the big escape, which is what we're left with right at the end of the episode. And Yeah. But before the escape itself actually happens, the DNA evidence on that heart coming back and being shown that the DNA is Kathryn's? Like, I don't know. Would Regina have actually killed Kathryn in doing this? I just don't know how that could work unless... Theory time. If Midas is still alive, which I don't believe he has, like the guy that plays him, has made any appearances in Storybrooke. If he was still in Storybrooke and came there as part of the curse, if Regina took his heart, it would be a 50% DNA match to Kathryn's. So, so either Kathryn's dead and Regina killed her, which for some reason I just don't see being the case. I don't know, it's just like, it seemed like Regina was really relishing the fact that she had a friend, so I don't think she killed Kathryn. Could be wrong, but... Or the alternative, she took the heart of a family member. She took the heart of either Kathryn's mother, who I think is dead, or at the very least her mother was never shown in the previous episodes where Midas was shown, or she took the heart of Midas / whatever his name is in Storybrooke. So yeah, that would make sense to me as to how there could be a DNA, not necessarily a full DNA match, but they were looking for a match to Kathryn's DNA, and I would assume that if there's a 50% match, that it would kind of count as far as the logic they're going with in the show. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure this out as I go, and I'm talking way too much. I apologize, Meleena. But finally, after that scene with the heart, and Mary Margaret is clearly... Mary Margaret's having a breakdown, and I don't blame her one bit. It's like she has freedom literally in her grasp. And there's Emma, who is trying, but is telling her that literally all of the evidence is stacked against her. Like, Emma tells her that she believes her and that she truly believes that Regina is responsible. But again, all of the actual evidence points to Mary Margaret. So I don't blame her for lying to Emma. Or maybe she didn't necessarily lie to Emma. It's like, she's still going to try, to hang in there. But she didn't say she was going to hang out there, in the jail. I don't know. Grasping at straws at this point. And then, finally, Emma goes to Gold. And yes, she did not approve of his methods back when she got elected as sheriff. And she still doesn't approve of his methods, but she approves of his results. And those results are beating Regina. Getting a leg up on Regina. And, I mean, as an observer, we obviously know that it's being stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's like you have Regina at one extreme of evil, and then you have Rumplestiltskin / Mr. Gold at the other extreme of evil. Actually, I guess they're just both extremes of evil. So it's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there. And she doesn't know obviously, of how evil he is, or at least can be. But his methods can serve her, can serve her benefit, can benefit her, and can benefit Mary. So, yeah. I just want to know what happens next. And again, I'm so annoyed that it's almost 11 while I'm recording this. And I could watch the other episode and then just hold off on the review until the next day. And that would give me one of the rare opportunities to actually process what I watched over tomorrow and then come back and do the review portion. Yeah, I'm going to watch this. And I don't care if that next episode stops on a cliffhanger. I have to go to bed after that. Speaking of the next episode, the next one I'll be watching here very shortly is Hat Trick. And I've heard that phrase before. I can never fully recall what it actually means. Is a hat trick like showing off, or is it almost like, similar to saying like, they got an ace up their sleeve? Something along those lines? I'm not fully sure. But yeah, looking forward to watching that. And also, before we end this video, I do just want to say I'm looking forward to hearing your all's thoughts on this episode, on what I've had to say about this episode. I know that, well, I always ramble. Again, I apologize, Meleena, and anyone that is annoyed by my rambling. But it's just a lot to talk about with this episode. And in my opinion, it was just so good. But if any of you had had actual annoyances with this episode, please let me know what they are. I'm interested to hear what they might be. And also just interested to hear your thoughts, again, on the episode itself, but also just what I've had to say. And any other quotes that jumped out to you in particular, I'd be really interested to know. And, I will say, one track of the episode would definitely be just that subtle, beautiful song that kicks in when James and Snow kiss, when the true love's kiss happens. Just, it's so tiny and subtle, and then it's quickly interrupted by the guards, but it was a very well done execution of that little song. And I'm not going to point out any of the intense music, because there's intense and creepy music throughout this entire episode, and yeah, I don't know all the tracks. Regardless, again, looking forward to hearing what you all have to say. And I haven't mentioned this in quite a while, but since I am doing my best to get back in the groove of getting these videos recorded and getting them to Meleena, first of all, if you want to see me do a live editing of the full version of these episodes down to the YouTube version, follow me over on the Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/PapaKennMedia. Link in the description down below. And I try to do this like every Tuesday, or I'll make an announcement of when I'm going to do it in general. But again, it's like I take the full version that Meleena gives me of these reviews, well, the reaction and review, and then trim it down to the YouTube length portion, just covering the actual reaction section and holding off the review until I put it up on YouTube. But yeah, if that interests you at all, again, go follow me over at twitch.tv/PapaKennMedia. And also, if you want to see videos like this and the others that are coming before it, I am also currently doing Discovering DuckTales, the remake/reboot of the show from 2017. And there's, at the time of this recording, 1 episode currently available to patrons, and 4 episodes already available on the YouTube channel. But yeah, if you're interested at all in becoming a patron and seeing episodes anywhere from a few days to a week or so ahead of time, head over to patreon.com/PapaKennMedia. Again, link in the description down below, and then also at the end of this video. And yeah, that's all I have to say, because now I'm going to get into Hat Trick and record the reaction portion of that. this should be fun. So until next time, everyone, I am Papa Ken, and I will see you in the next video.